Okay, again, welcome to the official induction ceremony of the class of 2021 and class of 2022. As Tony mentioned before, we've been doing this now since 2013, and it's grown every year, and it's pretty awesome. Yesterday, we have some of the inductees come and speak to our juniors and seniors, and all the kids that I talked to yesterday, I mean, they were most attentive with the speakers. Those of you that are here, I think you agree with that. And then they were very receptive to them as well and very interested in what they had to say. So it's a great relationship whenever the alumni come back and able to talk to future students, because like all of them say, I was here at one time, I was you. I got to be sitting in those seats and now I'm up here. So they share their life experiences, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what they have to say as well. So without any further ado, I first want to mention Merk, because again, like David said when he gave the invocation, none of this happens without that man right there. He has put together basically 2 weddings in one day. Those of you that plan a wedding, you know what a pain in the rear end it can be, and then getting people organized and everything else. So again, let's give one huge round of applause for Mr. Merkin. Thank you, Merk. We call it Merkapalooza or the Merk Bowl, or we've come up with all kinds of names. All right, our first induction will be the 1975 Red Raider football team. The 1975 Red Raider football team played in a rugged 3A Western Conference, the WPIL's highest classification at the time, outscoring their opponents 239 to 42 overall in what many said offered the WPIL's most challenging schedule. For the season, the Red Raiders finished with a stellar 9-1 record and only gave up an average of 4.2 points per game with 6 shutouts. The team also had its moments on offense, scoring an average of 24 points a game in an era where there were no air raid offenses and running games still dominated game plans. The Red Raiders were coached by legendary future Hall of Fame coach, Mr. Jim Render, who gave credit to his 19 super seniors, often saying that they are responsible for the team's success. Representing the 1975 Red Raider football team, Mr. Jim Render.
Shouldn't stand up. Most of you are too old to bounce up and down. I'm happy that my wife is here today, to hear some of these nice things that people have said about me. 1989, we won a state championship at Upper St. Clair. We were retiring for the night, and I said to Pam, how many great coaches do you think there are in this country? She says, I'm not sure, but probably one less than what you think there are. Then in 2006, we won another state championship. So I thought, well, I'll try again. And I said, Pam, in your wildest dreams, did you think I'd win another state championship? She said, Jim, you're not in my wildest dreams. So, in a more serious note, it was very nice of these football players, so many of you in Uniontown, to invite me back. I am so very proud to represent these guys. You know, when I got this job, Uniontown had fell on some hard times. I think the record was 18-1 before I got here, and there was a school board member by the name of Dave Baker who said to me, Coach, if we could just walk off the field with our heads held high. That would be phenomenal. And I've thought about that over the years. And this 1975 team went way beyond just walking off the field with their heads held high. Basically, I've only had one rule on my football team, and that was to do right. And these guys, they still do right. There's a lot of successful men here. Engineers, FBI, in law enforcement, and a lot of other probably successes that I don't know about. And of course, there's Dr. Michael George, who most of you probably go to him to have their teeth fixed. There's a couple candidates that I'm asking if I could work on them the next time. But he, he's been recognized as one of the most successful. There's so many good things. And the good teams I've had, they all have one, well, maybe more than one, but the one characteristic that stands out to me is that they like one another. First of all, they like one another. These guys liked one another then. They competed as a team, and they're still having great times together in 2022. I am so very proud to represent you guys. I think about you guys more than you probably realize I think about you. So on behalf of the 1975 football team, you realize they only gave up 42 points. I mean, Uniontown scored 42 points last night. So their accomplishments are great. The greatest one being that they are outstanding, fine men. And on behalf of this football team, I'm very proud to accept their induction into the Uniontown High School Hall of Fame.
As the gentlemen are coming out from the 1975 team, they are represented by some family members. The following gentlemen: Michael George, Reggie McLean, Tom Ostrowski, Robert Bowers, Davis Hall, Connie Evans, the assistant coach's wife, Bart DiCarlo, Coach Render, Kyle Sneddon, John Starner, Kevin Donovan, Lee England, Mike Schau, John Halo, Ken Griffin, David Madison, Bill McLean, Chris Parker, Don Leslie, Keith Meadows, Mark Olenek, Marty McLean, Chris Fee, Scott Kennedy, Bob McLucky, James McClure, John Shields, the assistant coach, Mike Marinich, Jerry Georgiana, Don Jones, and Bernie Mullick. Congratulations, gentlemen, on a great season. Gentlemen, you'll receive a certificate before you sit down. As they are getting their picture, I was a little out of order this morning. There are other people I would like to thank, along with Mr. Merkin. I'd like to thank the Uniontown Area School District, specifically the Uniontown Area School Board, Dr. McChesky, Dr. Bosnick, and their staff and administration. I'd also like to thank all the people that are on our committees for putting this together. Mr. Wilson back there helping run the light and sound for our auditorium. Courtney Baker has been a huge behind-the-scenes organizer. Mark Wood is another person who's very, very active with Mr. Merkin. So if I forgot you, I know Mickey Della is here. She does a lot as well. So thank you so much to the committee members. Thank you to the administration for allowing us to have this. So let's please give them a round of applause.
Thank you.
Dr. Bosnick, you are requested on stage, please.
good afternoon. I want to once again welcome everyone to the 2021-2022 Hall of Fame ceremony. On behalf of the school administration and our board of directors, I'd like to congratulate all of our inductees on this amazing honor. I'd like to thank Mr. Merkin and all the committee members and everyone that has helped organize this great event. Lastly, I would like to thank all the inductees for the positive impact you've had on our school district. Thank you.
Again, congratulations to the 1975 Uniontown Red Raider football team. Well done. Our first inductee as an individual is Mr. Mark Vashner, class of 1988. That's the kind of applause he always received back in high school when I went to school with him. Mark Cameron Vashner is the son of Myra Vashner Crable and Lloyd Poe and stepfather George Crable. Mark's siblings are Christine Vashner Yancey, Sidney Crable, Tommy Crable, Anthony Poe, Antonia Poe, and Houston Poe. Mark is a proud uncle and godfather of Samaja Vashner and Journey Lance. Mark was a prolific scorer for the Red Raiders from the 1984-85 to 1987-88. As a freshman, Mark was an outstanding guard that was improved by coach James Lash Messer to play varsity and was a major contributor. From his sophomore year to his senior year, Mark made the Keystone State Games, All-Conference, All-County, and the Pittsburgh Press Player of the Week. As a senior, he earned a spot on the Pittsburgh Dapper Dan All-Star Classic, which are the best players in Western Pennsylvania. Mark was also considered one of the best in the entire state of Pennsylvania by earning 4th team All-State. In 1988, Mark's senior year, he became Uniontown High School's all-time leading scorer with 1,420 points. This record was broken in, give it up. This record was broken back in 2002, and Mark now ranks second. Mark also excelled in track and field. In 1988, he won the WPIL championship in high jump with a leap of 6 feet 9 inches and placed third in the state championship. Give that up for Mark too, that's pretty awesome. Mark began his professional career with the Cleveland Cavaliers as a community relations coordinator during the 1996-97 season. Mark worked with NBA greats Bob Lanier and Austin Carr, coordinating community events leading up to the 1997 NBA All-Star Game. The focus was on the importance of staying in school and community service with middle schools in the Cleveland area. In 1998, Mark became a pharmaceutical sales representative with Pfizer and worked for the company for 11 years, winning every award that the company had to offer. The Top Sales Award, Vice President's Cabinet for the top 10% of sales in the region in 2006 and 2007. Mark began working in the medical device industry in 2009 as a sales representative with Medtronic Incorporated in the spinal and biologics division. Mark was attracted to this company because of their mission to alleviate pain, restore health, and extend life forever. Not forever, but for a couple more years. Sorry, I misread that. He'd be awesome if he could do that. Maybe Dr. John can do that now, who knows. For over 10 years, Mark has worked with orthopedic surgeons and neurosurgeons. Mark just received Medtronic's Top Sales Award, President's Club, for top sales by finishing third in the entire country. Mark resides in Fairfax, Virginia, a faithful Christian who was raised in the Mount Olivet Baptist Church in Uniontown and baptized at the Mount Ararat Baptist Church in Pittsburgh. Now attends Alfred Street Baptist in Alexandria, Virginia, which is the oldest African-American church, started in 1803. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome in the class of 2021, graduating in 1988, Mr. Mark Vashner.
I want to first off say thank you to God and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for giving me the ability to compete as an athlete and excel in academics as well. I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for honoring me with this honor. You know, when I got the call from Mr. Merkin, I was a little bit surprised. You know, I have a cousin, Terrence Jackson, who got inducted in 2016, and give it up to Terrence. And one of my biggest inspirations in terms of trying to be a good athlete and do well in school. I also want to thank my teammates. One of my teammates, Stuart McLean, is also going to be honored a little bit later. I think he goes after me, but it's just an honor to go in with one of my teammates. It's also an honor to go in with one of my coaches, Mr. Sal Merkin, who coached me as a 9th grader. Also, I want to thank two particular families. Well, first of all, let me forget about can't forget about my mom. I want to thank my mom, Myrna Crable. Thank you, Mom. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't even see where you are. I see you back there. Thank you for all the sacrifices. Thank you for doing everything you possibly could. I remember entering my sophomore year, I got invited to an invitation-only basketball camp in North Carolina, and that was a lot of money for us to get me there. So thank you for the sacrifice that you made to help me get there. I flew down. It was the first time I've ever been on an airplane, and while I was there, I actually made the All-Star team. So I hope to say that that was money well spent. So thank you, Mom. I also want to thank my sister, Christina Yancey. Appreciate you even being here. Unfortunately, my sister just lost her husband. So the fact that you're here, thank you for always being there for me. Appreciate that. And of course, my stepfather, who passed away, George Crable. What a wonderful man. raised me as his own, and just miss him a lot. But he taught me the work ethic that I later developed. So I wanted to thank him as well. I also want to thank two families in particular. So my mom was the baby of 12, so I come from a very big family. And being the baby of 12, two of her sisters in particular, Geraldine Jackson and Evelyn Thomas, both of them, I spent a lot of time in both of those households. You know, at an early age, I had 10 big brothers and sisters from the Thomas family, and I had 4 big brothers and sisters from the Jackson family. So they had a major influence on my life from an early age, and I just wanted to thank those two families. Also, my cousin Johnny Thomas is here, also a big influence. Thank you. I have a couple, an aunt and uncle that made the trip as well. My aunt Margot, who, you know, when I was a freshman or at Youngstown State and decided to work up there for the summer, didn't have a way to get there, so she gave me her car, her old car, and allowed me to get back and forth to work. So thank you for that sacrifice. And, also want to thank my uncle Joe, who, when I graduated Youngstown State, I got selected to do an internship with the Detroit Pistons, and it was an unpaid internship. So the fact that he allowed me to come and stay with him to do that, again, just really appreciate that. So thank you, Uncle Joe, as well. Just going to tell one quick story. Don't want to be too long, but you know, I participated in 3 different sports: basketball, football, and track. But my true love was basketball. I think that's where the majority of the accomplishments came from. And just want to tell a little story. My cousin Terrence Jackson and Troy Jackson were part of that 1981 state championship team. And before they won that state championship team, they attended a camp in, I think, Geneva. Was that Geneva? In Grove City. And when they came back, I was only in 3rd grade at that time. So when they came back, they took the time to show me these basketball drills, these ball handling drills, the proper way to shoot the basketball. They even had me learning how to juggle 3 tennis balls. And as a 3rd grader, I'm like, you know, what am I doing that for? I don't want to join the circus, I want to learn how to play basketball. But I didn't know this concept as a 3rd grader called hand-eye coordination. So it really paid dividends for me. When I entered 4th grade, on the playgrounds of Easton, I used to be one of the last people picked, but after those drills and teaching me those things, I quickly became one of the first people picked. In fact, in 4th grade, my first coach ever, Terry Jones, is here. And thank you, Terry. He actually started me as a 4th grader on the 4th grade, the 5th grade, and the 6th grade team. So those basketball drills paid off for my 2 big cousins. It also showed when I was in 6th grade. Mr. Richard Bearbrier, he actually brought me up to the 8th grade team while I was in 6th grade to play with his 8th grade team. And then when I reached 8th grade, Coach Nesser, who coached me in high school here, actually started coming to a lot of my basketball games up in Lafayette as an 8th grader. And at the time, I didn't know why. I'm like, what's he coming here for? I thought he maybe just loved the game of basketball. But at the end of the season, my coach in 8th grade, Mr. Broda, you know, quickly let me know that I would not be playing 9th grade ball, but I was going to start playing junior varsity. And at that time, I was just hoping to start on the junior varsity team and possibly dress varsity. Those were my goals. But you know, after I think our first game was at Latrobe, I'm a freshman. I played the entire junior varsity game, and then I actually got in. I wasn't even expected to get in on the varsity team. And It was my first game, and actually ended up being the second leading scorer in that game. And I think I impressed Coach Nesser to the point where during our second game, he told the assistant coach, Mr. Bryant, that to only play me one quarter on the JV team and then get me ready for varsity. So the point I'm trying to make with that story is that I just really appreciate my family and those who planted those seeds of encouragement, of the time spent to help me and allow me to develop into the person I've become. So thank you again, Terrence and Troy Jackson, for teaching me those skills. As you see, led to a Division I basketball scholarship where I played at Youngstown State. Started off 4 years, and I just thankful to my family, my coaches, my friends, teammates, also part of a group of guys. Lance Nixon's here, my cousin Steven's here, and Aaron Lance. We have this little brotherhood. We call us brothers from different mothers. We, friendship with, our friendships have been going for 30 to 40 years now. So I'd like to thank them as well. So, and lastly, just want to say thank you again to the committee, to my family, to my friends. If I missed anybody, I apologize, but thank you everyone. And I just happy to be a part of this new club. Thank you.
This is Mark Vashner, class of 1988. I am getting a little bit older because now the inductees are starting to become people that I participated with. I was on the track team with these two gentlemen, not near as good as they are. And I remember a track meet with Mark and Stu, and the bar would go up and up and up, and these two guys, they would pass at 5'8", pass at 5'10", pass until it got 6 feet. They wouldn't even take their sweats off until the bar reached 6 feet. I remember that vividly. And nowadays the WPIL winner is jumping maybe 6'4", whatever, 6'2". So their accomplishments back then, we just thought everyone could jump, 6'8", 6'9". So congratulations. Our next inductee representing the athletics, graduating in 1987, Mr. Stu McLean. Stu attributes his achievements to positive guidance from family members and close outside relationships. Raised in a caring family and surrounded by respectful neighbors and friends, McLean learned by example to work hard in school and sports. Under the direction of Joe Thomas, former Uniontown athlete and coach, McLean competed in the Junior Olympics traveling throughout Pennsylvania, performing in the high jump. In 1987, McLean, the WPIL clearing 6 feet 9 inches and PIA high jump clearing 6 feet 10 inches for the championship. In his career, McLean has worked as an instructor aide for Head Start of Fayette County. McLean was committed to helping children, developing socially and accepting responsibilities, and working hard. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Stu McLean.
Please bear with me. It's an honor to be here. And I want to thank the committee for their hard work and service towards inducting me into this great class. First, I want to give honor to God. Attendees, what an honor and privilege it is to be here today as an inductee into the Uniontown High School Hall of Fame. I want to thank all those who voted me into the class of 2022 for making this an unbelievable experience for me and my family. Little did I know, as a kid, when I used to high jump and pole vault in the backyard on Grand Street and Main Street, that jumping in the yard, having 2x4s with nails as height markers, bamboo sticks as crossboards, and mattresses to land on, was going to take me where I am today, here in front of you all. We figured we could come up with better, more productive way to work on our skills. So we jumped the fence, slid our 2x4s and poles under the fence, and used Uniontown mats to land on. I believe it was the start of my jumping career. I'm honored to go into the Hall of Fame with such a great group of women and men. Mrs. Ogilvie, Sal Merkin, Mrs. Caledge, Bryant, Garbin, Margroff, Martin, Robinson, Pastor Winfrey in the 1957 and 75 Red Raiders football team. Having the opportunity to go into the Hall of Fame with Mark, my cousins Reggie and Billy, and my oldest brother, Martin, is a blessing. All of you represent what this town is about. To me, it's no surprise that you are here today. And again, congratulations to every one of you. I would like to take this time to thank my families. Back then, it took a village to raise many of us. How many of us had one neighborhood house you could go to? Miss Geraldine Jackson, as we call Miss Deanie, I want to thank you for opening your home in the East End Playground for many years. A special thanks to Terrence Jackson and my brother Brian McLean for helping me throughout the years. With form, Mr. Joe Thomas for traveling throughout Pennsylvania, giving me the opportunity to compete in the Junior Olympics. To my close friend, Mark Vashner. I would not be here today if it wasn't for you literally pulling me to the side that day and telling me how I could win state if I would just concentrate. I appreciate what you did for me. Thank you. Being a baby being a baby out of 6 and being raised by a single mother, I want to thank my brothers, Marty, Chris, Brian, Darren, and Scott for always being there whenever I needed them. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I love you guys. My wonderful and beautiful mom, Miss Lavada McLean. There were a lot of ups and downs, and after all, I am so thankful for what you gave us. Mom, you made sure we did it right. Years ago, someone said Miss Lavada raised 6 boys to be men. Mom, thank you so much for being so patient with me and my 5 brothers. I love you so much. I believe that I was put on this earth to help others, and having the opportunity to relocate back to Pennsylvania after 30 years to work as an instructor's aide for Head Start of Fayette County it has been another blessing for me also. The positive guidance I've received from all those who helped me in my past has blessed me to give back to young children. I want to thank my children and grandchildren, and to Caledge, my lovely and beautiful wife. I have been blessed to have you. You are my best friend and my rock. Thank you so much for all your love and support. I want to thank you all for being here and sharing this day with me. God bless. Thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Stu McLean, class of 1987. We do have different categories throughout our Hall of Fame, and one of them is every year we try to induct a coach. This year's coach is Mr. Willie Bryant. Willie Bryant started on the Uniontown Red Raider basketball team squad from 65 to 67. His former teammates and coaches described him as one of the greatest shooters, an inspiring and powerful athlete, a perfectionist on the court. Bryant played for Uniontown's legendary coach, Abe Everhart, leading the Red Raiders to compete in the 1966 PIAA Western Finals. After graduating high school, Bryant accepted a basketball scholarship to Penn State and served as co-captain of the team. Following college graduation in education, Bryant taught social studies in the Uniontown School District and served as assistant basketball coach. Later, he assumed the head coaching position of the Red Raiders. A highlight of Bryant's coaching career was the Uniontown's 1981 state championship. Representing Coach Willie Bryant, his first cousin, Mr. Bill Thomas.
Good morning. It is an honor to be here to represent my cousin here this morning. But first I want to say congratulations to all the honorees. As you can see, we have a lot to be proud of in Uniontown. And before I get started on Mr. Willie Bryant, I just want to say to a lady out in the audience, Miss McLean, you got to be one of the most proudest ladies that ever lived in this town. To see all your boys grow up to be as great as they were. Give her a... Willie's sister is unable to be here today because she had an illness. And her husband, who I don't think is here, I don't know why, but they called to ask me could I do this for them. And believe me, I've been a lot of places and did a lot of things, but this is the toughest thing I ever did in my life. But anyway, my son is here, and my best friend is here. Willie Bryant, I just have to say that Willie Bryant was a different person. Willie Bryant grew up in an era when almost everybody who, as far as a young kid, was good in something. Willie Bryant, my cousin, was great in everything. Willie Bryant started out, he lived, first of all, up in BF area, which is like being, if you're from East End, that's cool. Willie Bryant was at a disadvantage from birth, as I say. But he traveled around me and his brother Clark. And he was like 6 or 7 years younger than us. But whatever we did, he wanted to do, and we always had to like, sorry, bro, but you're just a little bit too young. So he went on his own, and he went to Craig Playground instead of East End Playground. And he learned all the fundamentals and the skills on his own. Now, if you knew Willie, like I said, Willie was different. First of all, Willie liked school, which was, who liked school? And secondly, he was very, very smart. When he found out that something was going on or he wanted to do something, he didn't just go out and dribble the ball like he said. You know, none of that. Willie got to the point where that if he couldn't do it right, he didn't do it at all. And that's the way he felt about basketball. He got to the point where he got great at basketball. Now, like I said, I was older than Willie, and I left town, and I went to school, and then I got drafted into the service. But I kept track of my cousin. And I do know to this day that those who are old enough know that when they lost the Assembly in 1966 in double overtime, that was almost like a death to Willie. Willie carried that around his whole life. And even when he passed, he still, at least once or twice every year, would talk about that loss, and he didn't get a chance to be a state champion. Well, one thing about basketball, Willie left Uniontown High School as a star. It got him a scholarship to Penn State, which he played for 4 years, and he got his degree in social studies. In other words, a teaching degree. When he left Penn State, he had no clue of what he was going to do at all. By that time, I was back in Uniontown. So when he got back here, of course, he found his cousin. It got to the point where I actually kept Willie in my house for, 3 or 4 months. That's how tight we were. Willie loved children. He loved teaching, more so than being a basketball coach. When he got done teaching, he was just fulfilled when his kids would walk up to him after they got out of school and told him how much that he meant to them in his life, and their life, as what he had passed on to them as far as knowledge and how to be a person. So when I finally hooked up with Will, me and Will loved to play golf. And we traveled everywhere together. And I got to know him, like I said, he was like a younger brother that I never had. He was great, like I said, great with children. More so than when I finally had my family, I had 3 girls and a son. I made Willie the godfather of my son. Willie treated him better than I treated my son. And first of all, my son could do no wrong in front of Willie, and neither could my daughters. So when there was time for discipline or whatever, of course, our parents can be a little rough on our kids when they do something wrong. Well, they would always go there. If Willie was there, he'd go see Willie, and Willie would always come back and say, don't you think he was just a little bit tougher on those kids today, or whatever. And, I just look at him and say, maybe I did make a mistake by making him the godfather. I don't know. But getting back and making it sure, as you notice, I have no notes. It's a little tough to talk about somebody else, not yourself. But I met Willie in church. Willie was, like I say, different. Willie never got married, never had any children. But he would have made a wonderful husband and a great parent. And that man knew more about everything than we knew about one thing. And I'll say this, even though he did not win that championship in 1981, him and Lash Nesson, of all people, Lash and Willie together, If you know Nash and you know Willie, you just don't see that combination at all. It's another story. But when they won that championship, I never knew two people, because I did keep score for Uniontown for 3 years while they were coaches. My son went to Laurel Island, and when he got to be a sophomore, I had to leave Uniontown. It was like a destiny. And I had to go to for 3 years. And it was, well, you know, if you're a Uniontown Red Raider for life, you know what I'm talking about. But it was a great experience. But when they won that 81 championship, Willie was like a brand new person. But he still thought about the championship to get away. So what I want to say today is, Willie, I know you're looking down upon us, and today you can smile, because after today, you will always be a Red Raider. Thank you.
Mr. Willie Bryant. Thank you. Another category that we have in the Hall of Fame is a special recognition. And this gentleman definitely deserves it. Reverend Vincent Winfrey. Vince Winfrey attended Penn State University and the Open Bible Institute. And in 1992, Winfrey accepted God's call to the ministry and served as pastor of Mount Olivet Baptist Church in Uniontown. He also served as a Sunday school teacher, chairman of the Deacon Board, Youghiogheny Western Baptist Association, PA Baptist State Congress, and received the NAACP Pastoral Excellence Award. I just asked David, how do you have time to do all this? I have no idea. You see, you're busier now than whenever you worked. Winfrey boldly spreads God's words and aids his community in many capacities. Children and youth mentoring group, coaching area children baseball and basketball leagues, East End Ministerial Alliance, Uniontown area clergy, Uniontown area school director, Uniontown Public Libraries Board, and Uniontown City Councilman. You can also see him walking around town, probably about 8 o'clock in the morning. So if you ever want to get in shape, keep up with this man. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Vincent Winfrey.
Amen. It's preaching time. It's preaching. Amen. First of all, I want to thank the committee for selecting me for this award, and mainly Merk. Merk called me, and I wanted to say no. I don't want it. I don't want to do it. But Merk, I couldn't get a word in. Merk kept on talking. And I'm trying to say no, I don't know. And Merk kept talking. He had everything lined up already before I can even say anything. So I said, I'll go ahead and do it. Amen. But I had to tell Merk that Merk is a pushy person. Amen. But hey, I love him. He's always around at Uniontown Sports. He's always around helping. I see him at fundraisers, helping the cheerleaders, helping everybody out. So let's give him another hand. He does a great job. And none of this would ever happen without him, so we thank him for it. But I'm glad to have this award. I do a whole lot of things. I've been pastoring for almost 30 years now at the same church at Mount Olivet, right up the road here. So if any of you need a church home, just go straight up this road. On the right, Mount Olivet Baptist Church. I'd be glad to have you. 8 o'clock service, 11 o'clock service. Amen. Amen. You're welcome. Amen. You have a good time at MOB. Amen. Praise God. Amen. But over the years, you know, I've served. I've coached at Bailey Park since I was 12 years old. Won championships when I was 12. I coached my brother and cousin, and I was only 2 years older than them. And so I enjoyed it. And I coached at Bailey Park for like 40 years, off and on. And I enjoyed mentoring young people. Amen. Mentoring them when they're young, so when they get old, they know what they're doing. It's been a privilege, amen, to work in the city of Uniontown, to do the things that I was allowed to do, and joining different organizations, being on the school board, being a city councilman, but mainly taking the teams, Uniontown teams, basketball teams all summer long, helping Coach Chuck and my brother Calvin Winfrey, helping them take kids all over Pennsylvania to learn how to play basketball. And we were able to go to state championship twice, amen, while I was coaching in the summer. So it was good. We didn't win, but we made it to the finals in 2000 and 2002. But I enjoyed those years. I enjoyed the years coaching and in the summer and helping young people develop, as I said before. I want to thank my family first. Amen. I got 4 boys and 1 little spoiled girl, Janelle, and I say thank you because they're special. I love children, and anyone can attest to that. I love children, and mainly I love my own children, and they're special to me. I love my grandchildren. They had 14 in the book, but there's 15, 1 more on the way. We're getting ready to catch the McLeans pretty soon. All right. So I'm going to have another one. I got 5 great-grandchildren. I thank them because they support me on everything that I do. My children, my grandchildren, they support me. If I go anywhere to preach, they're right there with me, and I appreciate my family. They've been good. If I could share, and I'm going to say it to the last, my wife's last on the list, but if I could share this award with anybody, I'd share it with my brother Calvin Winfrey, who has been a scorekeeper here at Uniontown for years. I'd like to share, he's been a coach in the summer here. I would like to share this award with him. And I'd also like to share with a good friend of mine, Pastor Robert Crable, who has done a great job helping drive kids all over the place for years, helping mentor Uniontown's basketball team. So if I could share it, Pastor Crable, are you here? I'd like to share it, amen. I'd like to share with him, my friend who, I would come home from work, he would get the van, and I'd change clothes, he'd pick me up, pick all the kids up in front of the high school, and we'd run to Woodland Hills, run to Ringgold, run to Mars, run to Chartiers Valley, and we played tournaments all over the place. And we did it for the children. And every job that I've had, I've never got paid for. I think I need a coaching job I get paid for, but it was all volunteer work, and I enjoyed it. But I'm going to say the last is my wife, because I've been on a lot of organizations, and they're still calling, wanting me to be on organizations, so I put it on the speakerphone. And while they're asking me to be on the board, my wife is saying, no. You know what I mean? I said, next time someone calls me, I'm not going to put the speaker on anymore. But she wants me to be home with her, and I definitely want to be home with her. Amen. But I volunteer for a lot of different things all over the town. I do weddings, funerals, I do invocations, I do a whole lot of things for a whole lot of people, and I enjoy it. Amen. But sometimes I've got to say no, but I don't know how to say no. But my secretary, she takes all of my calls, and she tells them no before I get the call. So she's my secretary, is my daughter-in-law who I love, amen. And all my other daughter-in-laws, they're not daughter-in-laws, but they're my daughters, and I love them also. And they're all special. All my family is special to me. But my wife, amen, we celebrated 50 years marriage on August the 26th. 50 years, amen. 50 years, and I definitely enjoy that, amen. But she's my heart, amen. She's been through a whole lot of things these last couple weeks. But she's coming on, and I say I love her. And I just want to tell you this one story. I coached baseball at Bailey Park. We had a young man on the team. He never got a hit all year. He never even foul-tipped the ball all year. Never foul-tipped the ball all year. So we're in the playoff game. We're in the championship game. This young man, not a hit all year. He got a hit in the playoff game. The last game of the year, he got a hit. I was more excited about that hit than he was, because I kept telling him, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. Just try to do it. And he got that hit, and everybody erupted, everyone applauded. And what I said all that to say this, in life, we might start out slow, we might start out that we can't do it, but if you keep on trying, you can continue, you'll grow and you'll be better than you was when you started. And guess what? It takes people like us, people like you, to mentor young people, to mentor other people that they can be better, amen, amen, at the end that they were in the beginning. But it takes you and I to do the work. If we do the work and help someone else, our town, Uniontown, can be better. Our school district can be better. Our town can be better. Our county can be better. And our state and nation can be better if it takes us to do the work. And I'm telling you, we can all be better if we do the work. I did my best to do what I could do, and I thank you for the award that you honored me with on today. Amen. I want my family. You didn't have the family stand. Will my family stand up, please? My family. And my family, please stand. Vashner, you almost got the baby, but you can stand up too. Amen. Come on, stand up, family. Amen. I thank you for being here. My church family. Amen. Raise your hand, church. Hey. All right. That's my church. I gotta recognize them because I gotta preach them all, so they'll tell me you didn't recognize me. So I say I'm recognizing you today. Thank you again for the honor. Thank you again for letting me coach your children, mentor your children, and be a part of their lives. Thank you so much.
That was his first time speaking in front of a public. Congratulations, Ronald Games. Our next inductee is Dr. Lawrence John, class of 1968. That's a long time ago. Sorry. Lawrence John, MD, is now in the Hall of Fame for Uniontown Area High School. Dr. John was born and educated in Uniontown, the son of Sarah Rogers and John Joseph F. John, both of whom were graduates of Uniontown Area High School. Dr. John attended Uniontown and graduated again in 1968. After Uniontown, Dr. John attended the University of Notre Dame, where he majored in pre-professional studies. Case Western Reserve School of Medicine in Cleveland, Ohio was his next stop for an MD degree that prepared him for a 3-year residency in family practice at St. Margaret's Hospital in Pittsburgh, now part of University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. Dr. John has been married for over 40 years to his medical school sweetheart, Dr. Martha Davlin John, a well-known Pittsburgh pediatrician. After his residency, Dr. John remained at St. Margaret's and built a thriving family practice that grew in 4 decades from a solo practice to a 7-physician group. Dr. John has been recognized many times by the best doctors in America, as well as in Pennsylvania. Dr. John remains a humble, gentle healer, a person of the world who shares his life most generously in friendship and love. Dr. John has served as the ideal model citizen and physician, befitting this honor and joining the Uniontown Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Lawrence John.
Congratulate the Red Raiders on their victory last night. It was great to see them win. The day Mark called me, I could only say I've been excited ever since, and I couldn't wait for this weekend to come. It's so joyous to be part of this event, to join my brother as a member of the Uniontown Hall of Fame, Dr. Joseph John, and to share this day with everyone today. Everybody knows that behind a good man is a better woman. So it makes sense that I would ask my wife, did she have any advice for today's speech? And she said, keep it short. Everybody's heard this stuff already. So I will try to do that. That is a very tough act to follow, I must say. So over the years, people have asked me, where did you grow up? And I tell them, I grew up in the center of the universe. They say, the center of the universe? And I say, yes. A long, long time ago, in a galaxy not so far away, I was born into the golden years of Uniontown. I was born into an incredible family with parents who stressed education, hard work, religion, and striving for excellence. I was blessed to have 3 siblings who continue to this day to be extremely supportive and loving. My early years were spent at St. John's with the nuns and Bailey Park with Dicey Simon, teaching me the ropes of baseball. Junior years in middle school were spent with Bill Broda and all my unbelievable classmates from BF, one of which is a very close friend, Willie Bryant. Willie really taught you the way of how people should get along. And I reiterate everything that Bill had to say earlier about Willie. My neighborhood was incredible, and so many of my neighborhood friends and kids that I grew up with, in fact, are classmates and inductees into the Hall of Fame. High school meant Mr. Merriman, Abe Everhart, and Lash Nesser. Lash, in fact, was one of my very first basketball coaches and my world cultures teacher. Then it was on Notre Dame, and I thank Mark for playing the fight song. And things were not necessarily always easy at Notre Dame or at Case Western. But I go back to those years when I felt Uniontown was the center of the universe that supported me and allowed me to get through the difficult times of medical school and residency. I was blessed to meet my future wife and mother of my children in medical school and moved back to Pittsburgh, where I started private practice, where I still remain 42 years later practicing family medicine. Over the course of those years, I was honored to be elected to the Allegheny County Medical Society, and I served as their president. Subsequent to that, I became president of the Pennsylvania Medical Society. As president of the Pennsylvania Medical Society, I thought one of my missions was to make the public and to help physicians with physician burnout and physician suicide. There are over 300 physician suicides a year. This is one medical school class per year. Being a physician is not an easy adventure. It's not an easy career. It's not necessarily an easy life, but it certainly is the most rewarding and best career that anybody ever could have. And as president, I very much wanted to support all those physicians across the state and across the nation and the never-ending challenge of staying well and fighting burnout. I come to you today so humbled to be part of this wonderful, elected, esteemed, accomplished men and women in the Uniontown Hall of Fame. I've always been so proud to be a part of the Uniontown tradition. As we have said earlier today, once a Red Raider, always a Red Raider. I owe so much to Uniontown and all the support and love that they gave me that allowed me to become so successful and so helpful in the medical profession. I'd like to leave you with a quote from a great American historian who was raised in Pittsburgh, David McCullough. We are all who we are in a large degree because of others who have helped, coached, taught, who set a standard by example, who've taken an interest in our interests, opened doors, opened our minds, helped us see, who gave encouragement when we needed it, who reprimanded and prodded us when we needed it, and at critical moments inspired. I'd like to thank you all for being here, asking me to be a part of this. I'd like to thank Merck for all his work, effort. This is certainly an honor, and I can't thank you enough. Thank you very much.
Dr. Lawrence John, class of 1968. Our next inductee is a little personal to me. My very first year of coaching, I was able to coach her. My mom is a golfer, and my mom is not a very good golfer. And I thought all women hit it like her, because I really never saw anyone else hit it until I saw this, well, it's not a young lady anymore, this person hit the ball, and I said, holy cow. Well, you're a lot younger than I am, but you're not young anymore. And whenever she hit the ball, I was like, holy cow, this is not my mom's game. This is something totally different. Lauren George Clement, her golf career began whenever she was 13 years of age and won the Women's Club Championship at Uniontown Country Club in 1996. At the time, Golf World magazine deemed her the youngest female in the country to ever win a club championship. She entered her freshman year at Uniontown High School as a starter and the only female on the boys team. She was coached by Mr. Don Bell her freshman and sophomore years. Mr. Bell retired, and I took over for her junior and senior year. Believe me, she didn't learn anything from me. Okay, I was just there, Lauren, make sure your shoes are tied. Okay, and got her to the tee on time. Lauren, again, was required to compete from the men's tees. Now, the girls get to play from the women's tee, or 85% of the yardage from the whites. So Lauren competed as a male and usually outdrove and outscored all the males in her opponents and her team. Lauren competed both regionally and nationally throughout high school. She qualified for the WPIAL Girls Golf Finals and PIA Girls State Championship Tournament all 4 years of high school. She is a 4-time WPIAL medalist and 2-time WPIAL champion, earning back-to-back titles in 1999 and 2000. She is a 3-time PIA medalist, earning 3 top 10 finishes of 7th, 5th, and 5th. She was named the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette Athlete of the Week in 98 and 99, the Tribune Review Athlete of the Week in 1999, the KDKA Extra Effort Award winner in 2001, and was WTAE Student Athlete of the Week in 2001. Lauren accepted a full scholarship to the University of Kentucky, an NCAA Division I school within the Southeastern Conference. At Kentucky, Lauren was a 2-year letter winner and competed in events hosted by both the ACC and SEC conferences, where she recorded several top 40 finishes. In 2004, Lauren returned home to complete her undergraduate degree at Washington Jefferson College. She has taught at Albert Gallatin High School for 11 years. She earned a master's degree in educational leadership from West Virginia University in 2012. In 2018, she returned to her alma mater as principal and currently as principal at Lafayette Elementary, God bless you, Middle School. Yes, give her a round of applause for that. I'll go Reverend Winfrey, amen. In 2019, as a result of her academic and paraprofessional accomplishments, Lauren was awarded by the Washington Jefferson College with an Outstanding Young Alumni Award. Finally, Lauren has spent the last 3 years furthering her education in the Education Administration Leadership Doctoral Program at California University of Pennsylvania and earned her doctorate degree last year. Right? Yeah, it says this year. Lauren resides in Uniontown with her husband, Sean, and their 10-year-old daughter, Mallory. Rather than finding her on the golf course, nowadays you can see Lauren courtside of one of her daughter's basketball games or sitting at the softball field. Let me tell you my first experience with an athlete riding home with her after she got 5th in the PIA final, which was phenomenal. I got to ride with Mallard. And Mallard, Mallard went over stroke by stroke, you know, the entire hole. I thought she did good. Again, I'm a first-year coach, and I'm like, why are you so mad at this girl? She just did really, really well. I think she double bogeyed the last hole, but that was like her only bad hole. But I swore I'd never ever ride with an athlete or her father ever again, and I have not. But Mallard was an inspiration to her. Her mom, Donna, was awesome to walk the golf course with. You know, she was very calm. Mallard was the excitable one. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, Dr. Lauren George Clement.
For giving him the silent treatment after some matches that maybe didn't go so well. Thank you all. My dad took up cigar smoking around the time that I started golfing, and I could always gauge how nervous he was based on the size of the cloud of smoke that followed me around the golf course. My freshman year, I qualified for the WPIAL Finals. I didn't think much of it. I played pretty well, and I earned a medal. The WPIAL was just another tournament to me, but the size of the cloud of smoke that followed me said it was something else. I remember asking my dad after it was over what the big deal was, and he said something along the lines of, "It's the Whippeal, Lauren." But still, I didn't get it. The following year as a sophomore, I found myself back at the Whippeal finals, the cloud of smoke there, just like always, only this time I won. It was a great feeling to win, and I was proud to represent my school. But I noticed that the excitement of my dad seemed much more profound than my own. The next day, my dad dropped me off for school here at the high school, and as I walked up the old steps to the main entrance on the corner of Wilson and Fayette, Mr. Richard Constantine, Mr. C as I called him, my high school principal, was standing at the top waiting for me. He opened his arms, and as he hugged me, he said, "From one Whippeal champ to another, congratulations." Almost 25 years later, that moment still holds a very special place in my memory. It was then that I understood why my dad was so overcome with emotion, because I realized that I had joined decades of other champions, many of whom are here today, who have become a part of the history of Uniontown High School. I am proud to say that I am a two-time WPIAL Girls Golf Champion with 3 top 10 PIAA championship finishes. I traveled throughout the country, winning several national junior tour events, participated in USGA international events, and earning All-American honors. I was fortunate to receive several Division I offers, and I accepted a full scholarship to the University of Kentucky. I had many amazing teachers throughout my years as a student in Uniontown, who not only instilled in me the value of education, but inspired me to become an educator. After Kentucky, I went on to finish my undergrad at Washington and Jefferson College, my master's at West Virginia, and most recently my doctorate from California University, or Penn West, as they call it now. I am in my 17th year of education, and I am very proud to represent Lafayette School as its principal. Thank you, Mr. Merkin and the UHS Hall of Fame Committee for selecting me to receive this honor. It is also important that I recognize those who played an integral role in my athletic and educational development. The late Richard Constantine, Mr. Pete Bozick, and Mr. John Fortuna. All 3 of these men were a constant source of encouragement and taught me how to win and lose graciously. My high school golf coaches, Mr. Don Bell and Mr. Aaron Scott. Both of these men taught us to have pride in ourselves, in our school, and taught us the importance of being a student first and an athlete second. Mr. Larry Bush, for dropping off a newspaper clipping to my parents every time I made the paper. Without him, I wouldn't have a scrapbook. Mr. Chris Kluss for loaning me the driver that helped me win 2 Whippeal championships. Mr. Greg Franco for teaching me the fundamentals of the game. And so many of the wonderful teachers that I had at Ben Franklin and Uniontown High School. Today, I am grateful to Dr. Charles Macheski and Dr. Dan Bosnick, as well as the Uniontown Area School Board of Directors, who have given me the opportunity to serve as an administrator in this district. Thank you for entrusting me with the educational development of the next generation of champions. Thank you to my husband, Sean, who will tell anyone that will listen that I am not 1, but a 2-time WPIAL champ. Thanks for keeping the memory alive and always being proud of me. My daughter, Mallory, I hope to set an example for you. You have already done and will continue to do great things. I know that you will surpass every accomplishment that I ever had, and I will be there cheering you on. Finally, playing golf gave me the greatest gift, which was the time I was able to spend with my mom and dad, Mallard and Donna. My dad knows my golf swing better than any professional, even though sometimes I did not want to listen. In comes my mom, the resident peacemaker. We traveled the country, walked many miles alongside one another, celebrated together, and argued just a little bit. Thank you for giving me the best life. I hope that I can make as many wonderful memories for my daughter as my mom and dad have made for me. Thank you all very much.
One of my best golfers ever, Dr. Lauren George Clement. I've had a lot of good golfers. Our next inductee, again, along with the coaching category, is Mr. Ross Orndorff. Baseball has been a family tradition in Fayette County for decades, and the Orndorff family has been at the forefront of this tradition. A standout member of the family lineage was Stanley Ross Orndorff. In 1961, graduate of South Union Senior High School, who spent over 2/3 of his life around the game of baseball. Under Ross's guidance, the Red Raider baseball program won several section titles in the 1980s. For 17 years, Ross Orndorff patrolled the coaching box and dugout for the Uniontown Red Raiders. Ross mentored and guided his share of standout players over the years. Players like pitcher Roger Miller, who signed a professional contract and reached the major leagues with the Milwaukee Brewers. There were other successful players such as Tom and Dave Holliday, Joe Apicella, Ken Meadows, Jim Burns, and Bob Grove, just to name a few. After 17 years coaching, Ross was very well known on the local links. An avid golfer, he would spend countless hours unwinding and enjoying himself with friends and family on the golf course. Tragically, Ross passed away on June 3rd, 1996 at the age of 52. At the time of death, he was married to the former Linda Thompson and had 3 daughters, Beth, Denise, and Chris. On behalf of Ross Orndorff, accepting his plaque in his honor is my very good friend and my golf buddy and my former teacher, and a lot of other things we can't discuss, Mr. Joe LaPresta.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is truly my honor to be here today to represent the Orndorff family with Ross's induction into the Hall of Fame. My congratulations to all the people up here, which I've shared the dais, and to all the other Hall of Fame members who will be coming up a little bit later. Laura, you're still a young girl. I met Ross Orndorff when I was 16 years old, right over there with that gentleman with the tan jacket and the black shirt sitting. When we had our introductory meeting to play baseball for Uniontown High School. Now, Uniontown hadn't had a baseball team for a number of years, and we were fortunate enough that the school board decided to reinstate it, and I was lucky enough to be a member of the first team. Ross made an indelible impact on me, and it was hard to believe that all these years later, he would still be such an important figure to me. He taught me to love the game. He taught me to respect my teammates. He taught me to respect the opposition. But most of all, he taught me to respect the game and respect myself. He taught you about decision making and was able to translate it into life. I can remember one particular example. Ross had an uncanny ability of letting you mess up about 15 times before he'd take a step back and tell you what to do. So we had a particular play that involved runners at first and third, and I played shortstop, and my responsibility was if the runner from first stole, I was to run and cut the ball off if the guys from third went, and blah, blah, blah. Well, I screwed it up about, I don't know, 15 times in a row. And finally he came over and I said, Ross, I can't do this. And that was another unique thing. He let you call you Ross, which was like the coolest thing in the world. That you could call a teacher Ross by his first name. But anyhow, he said, you got two eyes, Joe. One eye on the ball, one eye on the runner at third. Make a decision. And from that point on, I knew how important it was in life to make good decisions. As he was talking to us about what lay ahead, because we really didn't know, none of us had ever played high school baseball. We had always played in the summertime, the weather was good, blah, blah, blah. Now we had to learn how to practice in the gym and do all those things. He told us, and I have carried this forever, he said, now I want you guys to understand something. I'm not going to put you on the bench. A coach never puts you on the bench. You put yourself there. And that really stuck with me. And he said, don't let me put you there. Make me play you. And that resonated with me, not only throughout playing sports, and baseball in particular, but it did through life. That, you know, life's going to be tough, and you got to fight your way through the tough stuff. And he was just so good at those kind of messages that I don't even know when I figured out that he was trying to get that across to us. After I graduated in 1971, I went to college and came back and was fortunate enough to get a job substitute teaching here. And the first place I went to substitute was Lafayette. Thank goodness. I had no idea what I was doing. Fresh out of school, I don't know what's going on. Walked into the building, this and that, and I run into Ross. And after a while, we talked a little bit. He's always very cordial, always do anything for you. And he said, you want to coach a little bit? And I was just so proud that he would even think of that. And I said, sure. And that started a 13-year relationship that we had a lot of ups and downs. Fortunately, towards the end, we had a lot more ups than we had downs. We were section champs. We went on to the playoffs. We won the only playoff game in Uniontown history. If any of you guys know Mark Edenfield, he was a winning pitcher, so he'd be mad if I didn't tell you that. But we had a great deal of success. He became a dear friend, a mentor, the most giving, caring person that I had known. Just one last thing, he gave me his glove to use, which was a brand new Rawlings, part of the hide. If you know anything about those, they cost, well today they cost about $400. Back then they cost $150, and that was a lot of money back then. And he gave it to me, and after practice I handed it back, and he says, no, you keep it till you're done. And I thought, oh my God, I got Ross's glove, I can't remember anything. And, but I didn't lose it. And that was a good thing. And I will leave you with one final thought. Baseball wasn't big in Uniontown. It was a football, it was a basketball school. Ross made it big. They're truly the first family of baseball in Fayette County. Bugs, Charlie, Ray, they're the ones that are here, but there's many more that I could name. This might be the biggest honor of my life. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ross Orndorff representing Joe LaPresta, the Ross Orndorff family. We're almost at break, so hang in there. Our next inductee, Mr. Sal Merkin. Sal was known for his vast knowledge of sports and was never afraid to speak his thoughts in the best interest of many athletes and coaches that he crossed paths with during his journey. However, earlier this last year, he unfortunately passed away. There was more knowledge that he could have given to future athletes and coaches. He felt his wide knowledge of sports was a way to improve, to innovate, and to help others in the sport industry and to move forward in sports organization. He is a passionate advocate of all sports and treasured friends to so many. We all knew that he had athletics' best interests in heart and truly wanted the student athletes here at Uniontown High School to have the best athletic experience possible for every inspiring Red Raider. The greatest attribute Sal possessed was that he was always someone's biggest fan. Sal highlighted what makes you interesting. He was always proud of whatever accomplishments you accomplished. The unconditional love Sal had for his family and friends was undeniable. Ladies and gentlemen, representing Mr. Sal Merkin, his son, Matt Merkin.
Good afternoon. I congratulate each of you on stage today. Your achievements to community service, leadership, character, and commitment to educating future generations is why we're here today. My dad would be honored to share this time with you today, so I'm Matt Merkin, Sal's son. The only saddening part of this day is that my dad is not here to speak with you today. I can tell you that I can't make a speech impactful enough that he would, or as animated on the stage today. I received countless phone calls from this event's inception, speaking in high regard of those who have received awards previously, today, and in the future. Dad was at no loss for speaking of the profound impact Uniontown made in his life. Growing up in my house, we were taught to work hard, care for our family, love our friends, and cheer the Red Raiders. Traits instilled by my grandparents, Mary and Frank, that raised two competitive Italian boys up Braddock Avenue. Competition among neighboring streets that created lasting friendships. Baseballs flew through windows in the sandlot fields behind BF and Lafayette elementary schools. A place where I'm humbled to say my grandfather Bill Broda and Bob Feet coached that there wasn't just an athlete, but also a student. The tradition of winning was imparted and demanded throughout childhood. The great Vince Lombardi once said, "Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing." The name that was synonymous with Lombardi in my household was Leon Kaltenbach, a superhero to Dad. Teaching him to embrace the culture of earning your position on the football field. Dad's first year, he started as a sophomore, a rarity at that time, winning the 1965 WPIL championship, defeating Butler 14-7 at Pitt Stadium. That 65 team holds the highest numerical index ranking, Dr. Roger Saylor's PA Scholastic rankings to this day. The team slipped to 6-3 in '66 and 8-2 his final year. But to no surprise, leaving Uniontown High School, he was voted most school spirit by his classmates. I took some time these past 2 weeks to view the scholarships that he had received when he decided to leave Uniontown High School for a future in athletics. Receiving a scholarship from nearly every D2 PSAC school in the state, Navy, Army, University of North Carolina, and Marshall. Had Dad decided to attend Marshall, he most certainly would have been on that fatal and tragic crash in 1970. He attended Junietta and competed his first year, named All-East Defensive Player of the East 6 times his freshman year, 11 times through his 4 years starting at Junietta. Named 3 times to the All-East team, All-Star team, and his senior year, Little All-American. Beyond the playing field, he created lasting friendships that he carried through his final days. After college, working for the Hershey Company and running his restaurants Merck's, he found the time to give back, coaching alongside my grandfather Bill Broda, which he continually recalled to be some of the best days of his life. Fundraising chocolate bars to take the kids to Ocean City for camp. Dad never stopped talking about the Red Raiders, the Uniontown Sports Hall of Fame, Academic Hall of Fame, and was a committee member, living those values that he learned walking these hallways behind us today through his final days. In closing, I know my family and I are humbled that the committee is honoring Dad today. I know he's smiling down hard with his pumped chest with pride. Thank you.
Those of you who knew Sal, I got to know him through the athletics and the Hall of Fame. He was a storyteller. He loved to tell some good stories. So your dad was a great guy, Matt. Congratulations. Our next inductee, again, is special recognition, Mr. Jim Shaner. In athletics, size can sometimes be deceiving. A good example is the late Uniontown High School athletic standout, Jim Shaner. The diminutive Shaner was listed at 5'6", 155 pounds, but he cast a giant shadow for the Red Raiders in football, track, and the Fayette County Baseball League. Shaner was on the Uniontown football squads that were starting to emerge as a force to be reckoned under the late Bill Powell. He was on the Red Raiders team that posted records of 5-5 in 1952 when Shaner won the starting halfback job late in the season. The Red Raiders posted a record of 9-1 in 1953, and lone blemish being a 14-7 loss to Brownsville. In Shaner's senior campaign of 1954, the Red Raiders were 4 points shy of an undefeated season, going 8-2. The defeat came at the hands of Ambridge, 14-13, and Brownsville, 12-9. Shaner taught for Intermediate Unit 1 at Connellsville High School. He also owned and operated the Ye Olde Inn in Dunbar Township. Shaner, a Democrat, was elected to represent the 52 legislative district, which includes portions of Fayette and Westmoreland counties, beginning in 1994. Shaner underwent heart bypass surgery in October in 2005. He announced his retirement in February of 2006. In 2010, Shaner and the 1965 WPIL Championship Uniontown Red Raider football team were inducted into the Fayette County Sports Hall of Fame. In 2014, he was inducted for football and baseball into the Fairmont State Athletic Association Hall of Fame. Representing the Jim Shaner family is our own Mr. Tony Merkin.
It's my honor and great privilege to stand for the Shaner family and introduce my friend, Jim Shaner. He was the type of friend you didn't call every day, call every week, call every month. But every time we had a function like this, we'd get together, which is like we'd never missed a beat. He was a great, great guy. And every time we talked, every time he left, he always said, if you need anything, Murky boy, give me a call. And he meant it. He's a great guy, he really was. When he first got sick and ended up in the nursing home, I wanted to go real bad to see him. And Gumpy told me, Jim, I want you to see me this way. So I didn't go, I felt bad right up to the end because he was a good friend. It seemed funny that every time we had a meeting like this or something like that, Jim and Gumpy and I would stand in front of the bleachers and like this, put our back to the bleachers and talk about every person that walked by us. We always had a comment about something under our breath and stuff like that. He was really a unique person. When he passed, Mabel told Gumpy to come see if we could have the pallbearers from the football, carrying to death, the funeral to hers. Well, I made 6 phone calls. Well, actually 5. I called my brother, Dave Herring, Van McLean, Tom Baxter, and Tom Volk. 1 phone call, where, when, and what time. That's how we all loved Jim. And it was an honor to be there. Mabel, I'm happy to be here at Gumpy, which I was fortunate to play football with. But I can remember when I was younger and watched Jim play, a lot like when Gumpy played. Get through the line of scrimmage and get hit by 3 or 4 guys. And, people were times 5'6", 5'8". All at once, out of the 5 guys, he came squirting out the other side. I don't know how he did it. Kept them feet moving, another 15, 16 yards. They were phenomenal athletes. He was inducted into the Fairmont Hall of Fame. And baseball was a great sport with baseball. And we already ran through where you learned and stuff like that. I'm very, very happy to do this. He's a great individual. And thanks for letting me have this honor. Thank you.
Get another round of applause for Mr. Jim Shaner. Congratulations to the Shaner family. Our next inductees is a team. The heart, the soul, the sound, the band. 1981 Uniontown Marching Band. Uniontown High School has long been known as the School of Champions throughout the state for their excellence in sports, academics, and the arts. Students have represented their school with fortitude, dignity, and pride. In 1981, another champion emerged, the Uniontown High School Red Raider Marching Band, led by band director Thomas George and his assistant Todd Hamill, Roddy Hibbs, and Carol Guy. Working in sync under the direction of Tom George, the marching band and auxiliary groups grew to near perfection with outstanding performances in competitions, sporting events, parades, and concerts. In his third year as band director, George felt confident enough to enroll his band in a competition outside of the United States. Nearly 100 musicians and over 50 auxiliary, including color guards, silks, rifle, twirlers, majorettes, and the Raiderette drill team, represented Uniontown High School with skill and determination at the Niagara Falls Blossom Festival held in Canada. George was overwhelmingly pleased to learn that after 40 years, his 1981 marching band was being honored and inducted to the Uniontown Area High School 2021 Hall of Fame. Representing the 1981 Uniontown Marching Band, Mr. Tony Carter.
Good afternoon, everyone. Like Dr. John, I am going to try to keep this a little bit brief. First, I'd like to thank Mr. Mercadani and the Hall of Fame Committee for all they've done, all the work they do. They do a great job. As I accept this award for the marching band, one thing I do have to mention is Mr. George. I don't think any of this would have been possible without his leadership and what he brought to the band. I had the privilege of working with him as my band director at Lafayette for 2 years before we went to the high school. And all the guys that were around here that were basketball players at Lafayette and all the cool guys like Terrence Jackson, Chris McLean, he brought a different style of cool to the band, to the choir. When he came in, he wasn't like most school teachers. He dressed cool, he acted cool. He listened to Earth, Wind, and Fire. He listened to the Commodores. Some of you younger guys may not know anything about that, but Chicago. And so when he brought that style into it, it just made everybody want to be cool and get better. Lafayette, at that time, we just wore these crappy little blazers that were, it's like, what the heck, everybody wore their own pants. And his vision was to make us better. We got new uniforms, he brought a new drum cadence, and away we went. It just got much better, took off, and people said, wow, that band is so different. It caught on so good that they gave Mr. George offers to go work at that other school across the street that Mr. Thomas alluded to that we weren't allowed to on the east end side of town. They said, you guys got to stay away from there. But anyway, he turned that down, but then the high school job came open and Mr. George came there. As we got there, he turned that program around as well. Before he got there, he had some different people that were running the organization, didn't quite put the pride in. He wanted us to work hard because he wanted to be the best so we could show everyone we were the best. He turned it around again. He brought a new drum cage for everybody, made the sound better, got new uniforms, we looked better. We were the first band that ever went away for a week-long band camp. And I think that band camp did a lot for us. It brought a lot of cohesion and teamwork, and we were together. We'd have to get up every morning at 6 o'clock and eat by 7 and lights out at 10 p.m. So all day long, every day, we were together just playing music, marching, and getting yelled at from him from time to time, or maybe a little more than that. One of the hardest parts about his leadership, where we thought would be okay, was that we knew by trade he was a drummer. And all we knew about drummers at that time, all attest to, all the drummers we had in our band then were knuckleheads. So we thought, oh man, what are we in for? But he turned it around, he made it great. I think one of the significant things about what Mr. George did was he led us to believe that with all the community activities and things going on, we were constantly fundraising and selling hoagies and tag days. Everything we could do to raise money for our uniforms, to take our band trips. He made a big point that no matter what parade, no matter what was going on, we had to make sure we were a part of being it. That was the Fall Foliage Parade, the Halloween Parade, Veterans Day Parade, and of course the May Day Parade. So he made us be a part of that as well. So as we moved along, we were also the first group. Typically the band would take a trip like once every 3 years. We turned around that first group, under his tutelage, we went to 3 trips, one every year. That took a lot of work to get us to be able to do that. The first year we went to Florida, I think we ended up winning an award, like a bronze medal, for a field show that we did. The next year we went to Virginia Beach and had a march in a monsoon, so we won't talk about that too much. It wasn't the best time. Then the third year is when we did go to Canada and win our award, and it was fantastic to see the combination of all the work that we put through all the years, his leadership, how he changed the band around, how we belong to the community, and then all the lifelong friendships that we built. As we see all these people we see today, it was just a great time. So I accept this award and thank everyone for the band as well. Thank you.
All right, band, it's your time. Congratulations. The following members, please come forward to receive a special recognition certificate and have your picture taken. Mr. Tom George, the man, the myth, the legend, band director. Jill Matthews, Tony Carter, Roddy Hibbs, Mary Over, Grenville Guthrie, Kevin Guthrie, Kenneth Van Bremen, Mary Smalley Simon, Jamie Frost, Amy Glisson Rayfield, Michael Carter, Jenny Wagner, Paul Palia, John Ellis, Candace Ellis, Ben Williams, and Patty Harper. Congratulations to the 1981 Red Raider marching band. Can you slide down a little bit, please? So, are you good right there? You can march in unison, but you can't get together forever. You've lost it. And this must be those Guthrie brothers that holding the things up there. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1981 Red Raider Marching Band, directed by Mr. Tom George. I want to congratulate again our first set of inductees into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations, it's well deserved. We appreciate your time and the stories that you share and all the thanks. We will now stop for a 15 intermission and we'll go round 2. You get to go to the bathroom now. Please come back in about 15 minutes. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen. We'll start round 2 here. Again, everyone deserves the time. And I know it's going a little long, but again, we have so many distinguished people that we'd like to give them the definite recognition that they deserve. Our first team that we're going to recognize is the 1957 Red Raider football team. The 1957 Uniontown Red Raider football team was undefeated with a record of 8-0. They had one game canceled because of the flu and did not have enough to garner points to qualify for the WPIL AA championship game. They had 4 shutouts and only gave up 32 points all season. They won the Fayette County Class AA championship and the Western Conference championship. Bill Power was the head coach and the assistants were Max Zane, John Cooper, and Al Brodlin. The team was led by Sandy Stevens at quarterback, who later attended the University of Minnesota and led them to a share of the national championship with Mississippi and to win the Rose Bowl. Bill Muncie also played for the University of Minnesota and was the halfback on the team. Captains of the team were Sandy Stevens and Ron Fermani. Representing the 1957 Red Raider football team, Mr. Chuck Haynes.
I'm very honored to be here to talk to you folks. It's this afternoon. So, this summer I was honored to get a letter out of the blue from the committee inviting me to come and speak on behalf of the 57 undefeated Red Raider football team. I told my wife about it. She says, well, that's wonderful. But I said, but at the end of the letter, they said, you weren't the best player, but you're one of the best still living. So, and it was true. I wasn't the best player. I played in the same backfield with Sandy Stevens and Bill Muncie. And Bill was kind of a mild-mannered guy, always smiling and like a friendly guy. And if you give him the football, look out. He was very fast. And zoomed off, knocked a few folks over, and gained some big yardage. So, and Sandy was great to play with. He and I played in the Little League, and we were on opposite teams. And one day I came to play a game down at Bailey Park. Yeah, it's been 65 years. So here he comes on crutches, and his foot's in a cast. I said, "What happened, Sandy? You playing football and broke your leg?" He said, "No." I said, "Getting a fight or wrestling?" "No." I said, "Well, what happened?" He said, "I fell off my little sister's swing." But he was quite a player. The other thing is they asked me to kind of round up and see who was there, come to the meeting or come to this gathering. And unfortunately, I could only find about 6 living people or 7 out of the whole football team. And so I was surprised at that because I was involved with the last reunion, and we think about half of the people in the class of 57, 58 are still living. And I'd like to have asked Larry Frandy. He's one of the only 2, myself and Larry, who played on the team that are here today. So Larry, if you'd stand up and wave to the crowd or your fans. If you look at the right side of the front row, there's a handsome lad here, number 28. Yours truly. What? Oh, he says 23. It's handsome. We had some great coaches on the team. I was very happy last night when I went to the game to see that they had named the field for Bill Powers. And Bill was a great coach. We had some other wonderful coaches. One of the things that just came to mind from being coached by Bill, he said he had a rule: if you're on the bench, you pay attention to the game, be ready to go in. There's no smiling and goofing off. So he was pretty strict about that. And for you folks sitting out there that didn't play football, it's not all glory. We went to a summer camp and had scrimmages twice a day in 90 degrees, so that was the part that you don't see. We had a team that scored 210 points and only let the opposition have 32. So we had a team that was ashamed that there was the flu situation and we weren't able to go for the WIPL championship, but we had a great run as it was. One of the things that I got out of playing football was some self-confidence and maybe some leadership skills, some teamwork lessons, and it was a wonderful experience. And also, I had an experience this morning. I played a little basketball under Abe Everhart, and this morning I met his daughter in the cafeteria, so that was great. We had fine sports teams and a lot of camaraderie in that. So I thank you for the opportunity to represent the team, and we had some wonderful memories of those days. Thank you.
So the members of the football team or their representatives, please come down. Marianne King, Andrew Ferguson, Chuck Haynes, Norman Champ Howard, Larry Franny, Albert Fee, Todd Chambers, Scott Chambers, and David Chamber. I love the old jacket. That's great. Was the football made of leather back then? The true pigskin. Congratulations to the 1957 Uniontown Red Raider team. Thank you for coming back. Our next inductee from the class of 1998, Mr. Ray Robinson. I thought the Winfreys had a good following. Ray Robinson exhibited a stellar performance on the basketball court. He played varsity basketball and was awarded the MVP in his first tournament as a sophomore. In his junior year, Robinson was named All-County in all section, leading Uniontown to a section title and to the PIAA quarterfinals with 2 state playoff wins. As a senior, he was recognized as both Fox 53 and Post-Gazette Player of the Week. Robinson made an all-section, all-county, all-WPIL, all-state, and was the 3rd all-time leading scorer. Following graduation, Robinson attended Waynesburg College, where he was the conference and led the conference in scoring and was named all-conference and all-ECAC every year. He was recognized as the 2nd all-time leading scorer and holds a single-game scoring record of 45 points. Currently, Robinson is the assistant coach for the Uniontown High School boys basketball team. Ladies and gentlemen, without hair, Mr. Ray Robinson.
This is a great honor. I just want to thank God first, because without Him, I wouldn't be able to do none of this. Secondly, I want to thank the committee and everybody who voted me in on this, because it's truly a blessing. I want to thank my teammates. I got 3 of them here with me, Mike King, Scott Winfrey, my man Kyle. Without y'all, I definitely wouldn't be here. My 3-pointers, y'all had to give me the ball. And my Uncle Rob, thanks for coming to support. Annie Lane, Aunt Monica, my Aunt Mill, you already know. And my 2 big brothers, Matt and Manny. Without y'all, definitely would be here. Y'all gave me my competitive nature, pushed me to be the best, and I thank y'all for that. My cousin Natalie, love you, thank you for your support. To my dad, thanks for everything. My stepmom, thanks for keeping the house together when times got rough. And to my mom who ain't here no more, thanks for everything you did for me. And for my kids, Raymond, Sherry, Addison, Ray, and Jace, this is for y'all. I just wanted to leave a legacy that y'all can be proud of. And like I said, I hope I made my whole family proud. Yes. My friends. That's it. I ain't got too much more to say. I'm getting emotional up here. But I thank the committee, and I love everybody who came to support me and my family, because without y'all, it wouldn't be me. Thank you.
I think this is the second time since I've known Ray he hasn't had a hat on, so I really didn't know he didn't have any hair, so it's good. Congratulations, Ray. Our next inductee, one of my closest friends. I get emotional too, Mr. Eric Martin. Eric Martin is an avid outdoor athlete, spent 10 years on the U.S. national team competing in whitewater slalom kayaking. Martin is a second generation outfitter and owner of Wilderness Voyagers, based in the mountains of Ohio Powell. Under Martin's leadership, the company quadrupled in annual sales and revenues and greatly expanded its adventure activities for over 750,000 clients. Wilderness Voyagers offers whitewater rafting trips, instructional programs in kayaking, rock climbing, mountain biking, and biking tours in several states and national parks. Working as a river guide, Martin has paddled more than 150 rivers throughout the U.S., Europe, and Central America. He has also received several awards and recognitions in his contributions in the tourism and industry field. You know, Eric and I have been friends since we've been 5, and something I learned about just yesterday, a couple years ago, there were 2 ladies that were drowning in Ohio Powell. They were large ladies, and without any hesitation, he got wind of it, driving down the road. He went and jumped in the water along with another person and assisted these 2 ladies who could not swim and saved their lives. He saved other lives too, but he was awarded the Carnegie Award, which entails putting your life in danger while saving someone else's life. So we were harassing him a little bit yesterday. What's worth saving, what's not worth saving. Those 2 women, they came back, had a ceremony in Ohio Powell to thank Eric for his life-saving efforts. Along with his lovely wife, Cassia, I've got to know them over the years. I was in his wedding. Fantastic people. They've done so much for the area, employs a lot of students of ours. He has more irons in the fire than anyone I know. We're here with some of our friends from high school, Tom Samuel and Rob Anderson, and it means a lot for our boy Eric to get in. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Eric Martin.
Wow. I don't think there's much left to be said. As usual, Aaron is full of words. Most of them are true. So I appreciate that. Quite an honor to be introduced by your oldest friend. So, wow, didn't expect that. I have to keep water close by. It's just part of my nature. And normally when I get up and talk to a group of people, I have the upper hand. Usually we're outside, they're half naked, and sitting on a raft and feeling a little scared. So usually I have the upper hand, so I don't feel that way today. But humbled to be considered for this, and I was overwhelmed when I got the call. I was like, wow, really? Just a guy doing my thing here in Ohio Powell, and trying to live my best life. So thank you to the committee, thank you to the community. Huge amount of gratitude to my wife, Cassia, who has coached me, cajoled me, helped me become who I am over the last 20 years. We're about to celebrate our 20th wedding anniversary. Pretty excited about that. She's hung around almost as long as Aaron has, so that's good. But yeah, the old friendships, that Uniontown provided. My buddies that are in the audience that have walked this journey together, and it's still super important to have those people in my life. And we walked this hall today. We were sitting here going, wow, we walked into this. Rob and I were class president and vice president. Like last time we were in here, we were saying goodbye to this building as a group. So that was pretty wild to think about that we are still together today. So super important to have those people in your life forever. I was fortunate enough in my time in this building and in this district to have influences like Coach O. John Olenek was our swim coach, and Coach O was a very big part of my development as an athlete, as a person. And so I got to see him last night. That was really, really cool. Lash Nesser, as many folks in this room, Lash was influential as a cross-country coach to me. Joe Everhart, who wish Joe was here today, but he's out doing what Joe does, and he's making his kids run faster somewhere today. Janice Delai, who was here, who was a teacher of mine in elementary school, and is here today and greeting me. So that is amazing. That is Uniontown. And I imagine many people in this room will have a reaction to this phrase still. Give me a word which means. We all shout out to Rich Bierbauer and the influence as a teacher on the academics for me personally. I know he helped that SAT score by hundreds of points, and as he did to a lot of folks in Uniontown. So shout out to Coach Bierbauer. These people I mentioned, other people, this building, have all contributed to my appreciation and respect for this place, Fayette County, Ohio, this amazing place we live, and gave me my sense of place, this place. Aaron mentioned that I was fortunate to travel a fair bit as an athlete representing the U.S. on the national team, so I got to travel throughout the country, throughout the world racing, and throughout that amazing opportunity, many places, many experiences, many people, and still at the end of the day, this place prevailed. Fayette County, home for all of us here, and so today, I'm proud to still be living here and still be the owner of a business that employs about 300 people in Fayette County, and be a major part of the economy of this county. That's awesome, and it's really cool to be able to give back, to employ my neighbors, employ the community, give them opportunities both just for employment, to travel to the U.S. We're in the travel business and operate throughout the United States. And then the other half of our business is cool that I get to go out and sing the praises of Fayette County and convince people to come here to enjoy all of the great things we get to take for granted, whether it's the Ducky River Gorge, Great Allegheny Passage, Chestnut Ridge that we all get to see when sitting in the stands out here at the field. So I've got one of the greatest jobs in the world, employing my neighbors and bringing people from the outside world here to Uniontown in Fayette County. The building blocks of my life came from this building, from this community, allowed me to become who I am and give back to this community. So I'm very proud of that. Thank you to everyone here. Thank you. Congratulations to the other inductees. And in my business, we have a saying that says, downstream is where the fun is. All forward. Thank you. We are Uniontown.
Eric is one of our few recipients that actually grows hair as he gets older. He still looks the same too. He's the same weight, same everything, so we're all mad at Eric. My man, Eric, congratulations. Love you. Our next recipient in the Hall of Fame is Mr. Ronald Games. Ron graduated from Uniontown High School in 1988. Ron actively participated in many of the school plays as an actor, technician, and stage manager. Ron also enjoyed the forensics team under the guidance of Mrs. Margaret Emelson. Ron performed and competed in the forensics team in the drama category. After Ron graduated from Uniontown High School, he attended Seton Hill College in Greensburg, PA, where he studied theater. He performed in multiple productions and was active behind the scenes, focusing mainly on lighting and shows. Ron graduated in 1992 with a BA in theater performance. Although Ron has accomplished much as a performer, producer, and technician, his greatest accomplishment surrounds his 24 years working as the technical director for Thomas Jefferson School in the West Jefferson Hills School District. During those 24 years, Ron brought his love for theater to students and gave hundreds of students a safe place to be creative, productive, and active in the huge projects of producing quality shows. Ron designed sets, gathered props, installed lights, and created sound effects with crews of young people that worked late nights and weekends. Under his guidance, his crew learned not only how to build and decorate a set, but how to work as a team to accomplish a goal. Ron focused on each student's growth and made sure that they were proud of the hard work that they did. Teaching stagecrafts to high school students gave him more joy than any acting performance or a standing ovation. Ladies and gentlemen, from the class of 1988, Mr. Ronald Games.
Aaron's been working really hard on pronouncing my last name right for the last half hour, so he did a great job. First I want to start and thank the committee, Merk, Tony, Nikki. This is a big honor for me to be part of the Uniontown High School Hall of Fame, to be a member with some of my classmates, previous Hall of Fame people like Mia Price and Dr. Chris Tanner, and this year with Eric and Mark Vashner, who was, I told him today, you're one of my heroes here at the high school, and I think, I thought maybe that would, he'd be uncomfortable with that, but actually I think he really enjoyed that, and he felt pretty good about that. He told me a whole speech about all kinds of stuff, so that was great. Mark and I had a moment where I was able to say, hey, you're my hero. But, so, I'd like to thank, my family for all their support. They're here today. My mom for putting up with all that we went through doing shows here and all my years trying to be an artist. Thank my wife for her support and the time that she's put up with me, and we've worked together. We started our own production company about 18 years ago and produced some shows, and we worked together in a business, and we're both still alive. So that's something to be said. I'd also, the biggest reason I think I'm here is because of Margaret Emelson, Mrs. Emelson, Mrs. E, as we call her, who unfortunately, is not here to see us. We lost her a few years ago. But the biggest reason I'm here is because of her and what she did for me and the support she gave me. I was a really difficult student, not because I didn't come to class or didn't do my work or was rude or anything like that, but because I waited till my senior year to say, hey, Mrs. E, I think I want to be an actor when I grow up. You want to help me get started on that? And she didn't say no, even though I probably would have. She said okay, and she spent my whole senior year working with me to teach me about how to do monologues and how to audition for things and write recommendation letters for me and get me into schools to audition and help me to get into Hindell College, where I was able to then go to school and learn what I needed to do my craft. And she didn't have to do that. That was a lot of work, but we did work together close that year, and it meant a lot to me. So I came back as what I called at Thomas Jefferson High School a super senior. Any of the seniors that would come back and volunteer to help in the shows afterwards, super seniors would come back. She asked me to come back and help with the show, so I did. I came back and did a little acting and some directing and some stage management for her. It was kind of her legs for a show. And one night she pulled me aside, she goes, Ron, you're doing a really great job with the students. Have you ever thought about teaching? Maybe after school you could teach, go get your, certificate. And I was a really egotistical young man. I think a lot of actors need to be egotistical and have an ego, but I was a lot more egotistical than I probably should have been, and I said to her, teaching? No, I can teach. I want to be a working actor. Don't you know what George Bernard Shaw wrote in one of his plays? He said, those who can do, and those who can't teach. I didn't think about saying that to my teacher that had helped me so hard to get me to where I was that day, who had taught for all of her life. I didn't feel bad about it then, but I kind of feel bad about it now. Now, she didn't get mad. She didn't say anything about it. But she spent years following my career, seeing how I was doing, the acting I was doing. But I think the biggest thing that we always talked about, she was most proud about, was my 24 years in education. Working at Thomas Jefferson High School as a technical director and teaching students stagecrafts. And so when it came time to nominate someone for the Uniontown High School Hall of Fame, she picked me. I don't know if it was because I've been all that successful. I think it's because she remembered the day I told her those who can't do, teach, and I ended up teaching, and she wanted me to get up in front of a bunch of people and tell them that the most successful thing I've done in my whole entire life is teach. Yeah, you got me, Mrs. E. So, again, I want to thank everyone, congratulate the other Hall of Fame inductees, and I think Mrs. E would have been more happy if I got to be in the first half and there were still 500 people here that got to hear that. So if you could tell anybody that left about that story, she'd be really happy. Thank you.
From the class of 1988, Mr. Ronald Games. All right. Our next inductee, I've been able to meet this gentleman over the years. The class that he graduated gives scholarships out to some of our seniors. A great guy, down to earth, has a lot of good advice. Mr. Jess Ball. Jess is a 1959 graduate of Uniontown High School. Jess is better known by his family and classmates, has had a successful business career, including 21 years with General Electric and 37 additional years working with several private equity companies. Currently semi-retired, he now provides coaching and mentoring services to company CEOs. This includes pro bono services to Fayette County businesses. He has been married for 58 years to Jackie Gwen Ball and has 2 adult children, a son Jay, a daughter Jamie. He resides in Florida and has other homes in Uniontown and Maryland. Ladies and gentlemen, from the class of 1959, Mr. Jess Ball.
Good afternoon. What an honor it is to be inducted into the Hall of Fame of my high school alma mater. Thank you to the academic committee and members of the board for your votes of my support. A short bio of me is in the booklet that you have received. So this afternoon, I want to concentrate on the background factors that contributed to whatever success that I've enjoyed. This Fayette County thoroughly grounded me in the work ethic that's driven me in my career. My parents provided the guidance and instilled the values that are a part of my life. The education received here at Uniontown High School prepared me scholastically to take on the academic challenges of becoming an electrical engineer and getting my career started at General Electric. My classmates from the class of 1959 have provided lasting friendships, which have grown over the years. I believe we were the first Uniontown graduating class to form their own website. We also created a scholarship fund that has been providing financial aid to Uniontown grads for the past 20 years. What a great group of friends. Jackie, my wife of 58 years, has been totally supportive of the efforts necessary for me to achieve professional success. She also eased the stress on our now adult children that was created by our very frequent moves. Most of my professional career has been summed up as improving the results of underperforming businesses. Now in semi-retirement, I still work with private equity, serving on boards of directors as well as coaching and mentoring company CEOs. In a gesture of giving back to my roots, I also provide pro bono assistance, as I commented to the
juniors and seniors yesterday. Pro bono for you that haven't taken Latin means free. Pro bono assistance to local businesses that are also looking for improvement. I truly appreciate the recognition bestowed upon me with my inclusion into this school's Hall of Fame. I look forward to helping my alma mater in whatever way I can. Thank you for this honor.
Class of 1959, Mr. Jess Ball. Thank you so much for all your help and dedication to Uniontown. Our next inductee, kind of really cool. Whenever I first read his bio, I was like, man, but now he has trouble walking, he told me. He's a great guy, really cool. From the class of 1973, Mr. Frankie G. Garbin. Frank graduated from Uniontown High School and entered the automobile industry as a sales representative. He had the opportunity to meet influential and successful Hollywood faces. Interested in becoming a Hollywood stuntman, an actor, Frank became involved in numerous projects, coordinating sets for the notorious B.I.G. Those of you who have no idea, he's a rapper. TV commercials, Budweiser, Pepsi, Kellogg's, and music videos. As an actor, Frank performed in 48 Hours, LA Confidential, The House on the Haunted Hill. His stunt work in professional films, The U.S. Marshals, The Rock, Con Air, The Green Hornet, The Spider-Man, Amazing 1 and 2. Frank's career spanned 30 years, and he has met many industry legendary actors such as Bruce Willis, Burt Reynolds, Marlon Brando, Angela Lansbury, Sandra Bullock, Cameron Diaz, Clint Eastwood, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and The Arnold. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Frankie G. Garbin.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. To all our relatives and friends, thank you for being here. I'm missing the most important person in my life, my mother, my biggest support ever. Through football, through stunt work, if it wouldn't have been for her, I would have never made it out there. I got hurt and she took care of me. But let's move on. I got to live my best. People have a basket, I lived it. I got to do things, I got to drive exotic cars, got to teach Drew Carey how to ride a motorcycle, taught Paul Walker how to drive high speed, and it was very fun. I enjoyed it very much, but there was no place like growing up here in Uniontown. The 60s and 50s and 70s were great, wonderful place. And I appreciated it. So, excuse me, because I'm sorry. Thank you.
Again, from the class of 1973, Frankie G. Our next inductee from the arts in the graduating class of 1997, Allison Mandel. Allison proudly represented Uniontown High School at the Governor's School for the Arts and was honored with the Francis E. Vocal Award, a full scholarship to study music at West Virginia University. Following college graduation, Allison was awarded a full scholarship to earn a master's degree in music at Ohio's Bowling Green University. She continued to perform in state productions, music theater, and vocal instruction. Pursuing her love for music on a larger scale, Allison relocated to New York, working with her young adults in her church and outreach organizations. The students experienced voice, strings, piano, guitar, percussion, and dance. Later, Allison expanded her career interests working with hedge fund companies and investment advisors. She serves as the Deputy Chief Compliance Officer at the Serengeti, meeting the firm's legal needs. Ladies and gentlemen, Allison Sal Mandel.
Hi. Would it be more interesting if I sang this? I'd probably be less nervous. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow inductees. I am honored to stand here representing the class of 1997. I take great pride as a Red Raider graduate, and I carry the values and spirit of my hometown with me to New York City, for which I've called home for the last 20 years. I wish that I had unlimited time to thank all of the people and teachers that helped me and encouraged me in developing my giftings, but I will name a few. Miss Pauline Craig, Mr. Roddy Hibbs, Patty Galino, Joel Hudak, and most notably, Margaret Emerson. I can't thank you all enough for encouraging me and pouring into me and believing in me. And I also can't forget my biggest cheerleaders, my mom and my dad, Kim and Ted Shao, who have supported me and through self-sacrifice and encouragement, helped me to become the person that stands here today. Lastly, I'd like to thank my family, my husband Aaron, and my 2 daughters, Riley and Liliana, who love and support me and put up with all of my shenanigans. As a graduate of UHS and a member of the Uniontown community, I have to admit that this town and this school have uniquely equipped me for my future success. What I learned was talent alone is not a qualifier for success or accomplishment. It is the confluence of, yes, talent, but hard work and those that support and lift you up. When I first started studying voice at the age of 12 at WVU, certain factors made it so I could only go about once a month. And during those lessons, I would record everything on a cassette tape. And every day after I got home from school, I would listen to those cassette tapes over and over again to the point where I had every line memorized, and I could even imitate the cadence of my voice teacher in how he spoke the sentences. Basically, through that, I learned that when you're doing something that you really love, it should not matter whether the circumstances are ideal. And by forcing me to work on the basics over and over again, it gave me a stable platform for which I could further develop my talent. Adapting and overcoming constraints ultimately makes someone far greater than someone who may have had all the advantages, and most disadvantages can be mitigated through hard work. But if it were not for the aforementioned individuals that encouraged me, I'm not sure that I would have had the motivation to put that cassette tape in the player every day to develop my talents. I also learned here in Uniontown that a tight-knit community of individuals that support you and lift you up provide the foundation for great confidence. It's this confidence that I gained here at UHS and in Uniontown that stayed with me whether I'm on stage, in my career in asset management, and now in the classroom at Fordham Law. And I really need a lot of confidence because I'm definitely the oldest person by like 20 years in all my classes. I will close with this, my biggest extension of thanks. Yesterday I spoke to the students and I gave them 5 pieces of advice for their future to take or leave. And I think my most salient point came out of a moment in my life when I had kind of, for all intents and purposes, kind of given up on music and never having it in my life again. I had logged into my computer at work and launched my Bloomberg terminal, and up popped a quote that said, "The definition of hell, it's on the day of your death coming face to face with the person that you could have become." It was at that moment that I realized that in not using my gifts and talents in music, that I would always feel an inner dissonance or a spiritual tug. At this point, I poured my life back into music and back into the opera world, and by God's grace and His goodness, I know I'm performing more than I ever did, even when I was pursuing opera as a primary career path. We were all designed with specific gifts and talents, and by using them, we are giving glory and honor to our Creator. I would be remiss to not take stock of all the people that have built the terrain that I stand on now, but my biggest thanks go to my Lord and my Creator, who has given me so much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, from 1997, Allison Mandel. Congratulations. I just was told she also runs marathons, so that's a big achievement too. Congratulations. Our next inductee, from the class of 1963, Mr. Richard Caledge. Come on up, Rich. Rich and his wife enjoy 54 years, Judith Jordan of McKeesport, Mount Well at Penn State, and have lived in Spofford, New Hampshire for the past 28 years. They have two daughters, Kelly and Rich of Brambleton, Virginia, a realtor for Century 21, and Dr. Carrie Caledge, Dean of Students at Keene State College in Keene, New Hampshire. They are proud grandparents of 6 grandchildren. Caledge was class president at Uniontown High School in 1963. He was CEO of Imtech Incorporated and sold the company to NASDAQ in 1999. He is now retired since 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Richard Caledge.
What a privilege and an honor to be here. And I would be remiss if I didn't comment on the Hall of Fame itself. It's been 60 years since I was on this stage when I walked across and got my graduation certificate. And I must say that I'm totally impressed by this Hall of Fame. The organization of it, the funding of it, the selection process, the recruitment, the organization, the meals. It doesn't happen by accident. I know that there's a lot of thought and effort behind it and a lot of hard work. So may I add my comments to thank Anthony and all the other good folks who've worked on this. I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for a couple of folks, a couple of which are here today. Bobby Sessler and Larry Bush and Anthony Mercadani have been commenting to me, you know, you should be in this Hall of Fame. But they, a couple of years ago, pulled the nuclear option. They mentioned it to my wife. And for those of us that have wives, if you're lucky like me, you have a wife that knows how to nudge and nudge and nudge and nudge me enough that made it possible for me to be here. So I'm thankful for that nudging, and I'm thankful to be here. I'm kind of late to the party here. I'm from the class of 1963. 21 of my fellow class members have already been inducted into the Hall of Fame. 2 of them are 3-time inductees, and one of them is a 2-time inductee. Now, the class of 1963, I have a lot of pride in this group. Somewhat like J.C. Ball's group, we also have a fund. We've donated over $30,000 to the Uniontown Public Library. And we also have a website that memorializes our class members. We had 42 class members who are veterans, and unfortunately we've had almost a third of our class who is now memorialized, who has passed away. And I thought I might take a few moments to talk a little bit about the perspective of age. And we also have here 3 members of our reunion committee. There's 5 that have worked diligently on our reunion all these years. We've had a reunion every 5 years. And a little story about that group. At our 5th reunion, the committee got together and said, let's get together and talk about the reunion. Why don't we go to Potter's? Many of us know Potter's from Uniontown. Why don't we go to Potter's? You know, they got a good bartender and the waitresses are hot, so let's go to Potter's. So off they went. Year 10 reunion, the group got together again, and they talked and said, hey, let's have our first meeting at Potter's again. You know, they have a happy hour there, and we can get double drinks. Great. So another 5 years passed, and they get together again, and let's go to Potter's, and let's go to Potter's because they have good hamburgers. Then another 5 years pass, and it's, hey, why don't we have our first meeting at Potter's? You know, they have a buffet now, and we can take advantage of the buffet. Another 5 years pass, and reunion committee again talks and said, hey, let's go to Potter's. You know, they've got good parking. Then another 5 years pass, and they talk again and they say, hey, let's go to Potter's because they have good handicapped accessibility. Now, here we are at a 60th reunion. They met recently, and somebody said, why don't we go to Potter's? And it was, yeah, why don't we go there? We've never been there before. So welcome to aging. I've been very fortunate in my life. I'd like to thank my teachers, but they're all deceased at this point, to my knowledge, so that would be words not well spent. But something that I've learned along life's way that reflects on today is that life in many ways, in my life at least, is like a bucket. And people are either taken out of your bucket or putting into your bucket. And there's a lot of life events to take out of your bucket. Athletics is, if you think about it, a lot about losing. And that kind of takes out of your bucket when you lose, when you don't win that state championship. Life events, sometimes financially, you can have a setback that takes out of your bucket. You can have people that whine and complain to you. That takes out of your bucket. You can have people that criticize you. That takes out of your bucket. You can have certain life events, death of loved ones, death of parents. That all takes out of your bucket. So, if you don't watch yourself, your bucket can get pretty empty. So, I found you have to find ways to fill your bucket. And you fill your bucket by some of the enthusiastic people around you. You fill your bucket by some of the accomplishments that you've made. You fill your bucket by certain life events that treat you well, by winning. And one of the ways that I think you mostly fill your bucket is through your old friends. And boy, am I fortunate. I have a number of my old friends here today. And these are friends that in many cases go back 70 years. There are 20 of us that started Craig's School together. And at our 50th reunion, the 20 of us were still together. I have 3 of those folks here today, Bobby Sessler and Larry Bush and Karen Kramer. We were in school together since first grade. And we've shared life together all those years. I can well remember Bobby Sessler and I doing so many things together. I remember, Bobby, our first drink together. We're in your car, I'm in the back seat. We have this beer, and none of us, frankly, even like to drink beer. I'm pouring half of it out the window so that they don't see I'm drinking it. But we've shared those things together, walked to school together so many days, and are here today together. Thank goodness. Actually, Anthony and Sal Merkin and I go back a long way. Anthony lived 2 doors away from my aunt, who I spent a lot of time there. And boy, I remember Anthony and Sal, they were like a couple of anxious puppies. They were always wrestling and arguing and shouting, lots of enthusiasm there. And look how he's channeled all that energy here today. Wonderful. And one of the biggest fillers of my bucket is here today, and that is my dear wife of 54 years. She's a young friend. She doesn't go back 70 years like some of my old friends. She only goes back about 55 or 6 years. And she has been the eternal source of inspiration for me and has filled my bucket along life's way. So I'm grateful and supportive of and thankful for that. Judy. So, in passing, and Allison, I hope you won't be too critical of this, but I relish the importance of old friends. And I'm reminded of Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton, who sang, "You can't make old friends. You can't make old friends. They've been around since way back when, and you can't make old friends." When you see your old friend, give them a hug, shake their hand, and thank them for being with you all these years.
Caledge. We'll go to Potters after this. Our next inductee from the graduating class of 1997, Mr. Jubal Margroff. Jubal completed the Fayette County Vocational Technical Electrical Program and worked part-time, gaining experience at Dennis Lumber Company in Markleysburg. After graduation, Margroff accepted a job with Wayne Griffin Electrical Company. Later, earning his journeyman's license, Margroff worked with Maccabee Industrial. In 2010, with only $1,000 to his name, Margroff started the Margroff Company, an electrical-based construction company responsible for engineering, designing, and installing power infrastructure for internet companies. In 2015, Margroff bought Dennis Lumber, expanded, and renamed the business Marcon Building Supply, which is an awesome thing. It's like the miniature Lowe's of the mountain. It's fantastic. You gotta go there. The owners donated to local sports teams, sponsored Boy Scouts, and hosted annual Christmas Angel Tree. In 2020, Marcon Building Supply raised enough money to pay students' lunch debts for the entire Uniontown School District. Ladies and gentlemen, from the class of 1997, Mr. Jubal Margroff. He's a pretty good golfer, too.
Thank you. Everyone that knows me would tell you doing speeches is just not my thing. Sharing feelings and sugarcoating, I just don't do it. So I can tell you this will be short and sweet. I'm more the quiet, keep myself, limited expressions type of person. I've always had the mindset of don't talk but listen. Learn and show your skills rather than express them and talk about what you can do. Talking about what one could accomplish is one thing, but actually accomplishing it is another. While in school, I never thought much about, what I want to be when I grow up. I guess I just kind of looked up to my father. He worked hard and always gave 100% devoted. He was always devoted 100% and focused on whatever it was that he was working on at the time. It never seemed to matter what it was, even if it didn't look like he knew what he was quite doing. To me, it seemed though as if he always knew what the next step was to take. He never gave up on anything. He was trying to just kept trying to figure it out until he got the job done. Before Google how do I, that struggle was real. That generation didn't have any technology to help. I guess that's where it all started for me. Each one of us has someone that we mentor. That's why it's important to know there's a younger version of each one of us out there, somewhere, mentoring someone to continue the life journey cycle. You can be someone's mentor without even knowing that you are. My late mother instilled family values, hardworking, and many life lessons without probably even knowing she did. Her famous words, I always go to her with my life problems, was persevere. She would say, just push through. You'll get through this. You don't have the option of giving up. Every time when it seems as though I'm hitting a brick wall, there is no way out, no answers, nowhere to turn, I can still hear that one word. My parents were my driver, still to this day, as I am now 44 years old. Without them, I do not believe I would have accomplished what I have to this day. Hopefully my children can look back and say the same about me one day. Throughout my school years, there were additional mentors along the way. I still remember my third grade math teacher, Mrs. Scott. Sitting in class, it seemed as though she was the only teacher that really got my full attention. That must be why I am pretty good with numbers. I'm not sure exactly what it was, it just seemed to work. Clicked, and I'm thankful it did. Then in high school, getting into the VOTEC electric program, Mr. Rossi, his dedication, teaching abilities, and the ability to connect with students is second to none. just seemed as though he had the skill set to break through that teenage stubborn boundary and push knowledge into teens' heads. That in itself, as I know, I have some teenage daughters out there, is a victory against a war that not many people can seem to get right. Sir, you deserve a gold medal for those battles fought throughout all those years. He did it very well. He jump-started my career even after I graduated and I was no longer a Vo-Tech student. He stayed in touch. He got me in touch with the people that were very successful in the electrical field, and it all fell into place from there. I guess what I've now determined with my journey so far in this life of career accomplishments is that the next young generation is out there, maybe not knowing yet what path to take, but one day the path will be chosen and very clear. One of us may have been that old rundown gas station, and run out of gas, that old teacher that just seemed to click with the student, or that old man or woman that never gave up and just simply did what needed to be done each and every time, day in, day out. My partner and wife, Jennifer, has also been a major contributor in my career. Thank you, dear. She as well is very hardworking, and when I found out I was possibly getting inducted into the Uniontown High School Hall of Fame, I said, "What, really?" You know? She took the initial call, and I said, you know, that really shouldn't be me, it should be you. She's strong as steel, along by my side the entire way. I can't say enough about what she does. She, as well as a Uniontown High School graduate, had several successful business. She started before I did. She's also started at the Vocational Technical School program. I'd like to thank my late mother and father for being my mentor, my school teachers, and my school teachers along the way, brothers Neil and Tim, for being by my side throughout this hard journey we are on. My wife and children, and all my hard-working employees at McLean and the Margroff Company, along with others mentioned before. We all sacrifice something to get somewhere, and there's something in return, as it seems. I've missed spending time with my family in my early 20s, working hard to achieve a good career to provide for them. That's why that's time I can never give back. I just hope one day they realize the sacrifice was for them, for us, for our family. Thank you to the past, present, faculty and staff at Uniontown High School and the Vocational Technical Program, and everyone that has helped me along the way in my career path. Let's continue this journey. Thank you.
From the class of 1997, Mr. Jubal Margroff and his fan base back there. I know you're proud, Jen. Our next inductee, from the class of 1967, Dr. Debbie Sangston Hindell. Debbie is the youngest daughter of Dr. Russell and Virginia Sangston, and born and raised in Uniontown, attending Hatfield School, Ben Franklin Junior High School, and graduating from Uniontown Area High School in 1967. From there, she went on to Denison University in Granville, Ohio, where she graduated in 1971 with high honors in biology and English literature, two subjects that first captured her imagination thanks to the inspiration of Mr. Merriman and Mr. Smith. It was, however, the opportunity to take her junior year abroad at the University of Nairobi that led her to returning to Kenya in the Peace Corps to teach the Kapatist Girls High School, and subsequently to move to the United Kingdom, which became her permanent home. The experience of growing up in Uniontown, of being part of a community of family and friends, left a deep and abiding impression on her, as did listening to her father's many stories of the children he saw in his practice. Ladies and gentlemen, from the graduating class of 1967, Dr. Debbie Sangston Hindell.
Well, can you hear me? Most of you will know the Everhart family, but few of you will realize that Mary, or Sis Everhart, who is Abe Everhart and Jean Everhart's daughter, and I were born on the same day, in the same hospital room. So we were lifelong friends. We were also often called ourselves twins. And Sis remained in this area and taught children, often with special needs, all her working life. And I too worked with children and young people, but lived abroad in England and then Scotland all my working life. So we lived similar, parallel, different lives, and but contributed to the lives of children and young people. So I wanted to take this opportunity to honor her life and work at this point. And some of you also knew my father, and certainly people here have come up to me and said, was your father Dr. Sangston? He was one of the first pediatricians here in Uniontown, and he was utterly, utterly devoted to his work, and at home talked of nothing else but telling story after story of the children he had seen that day. He was also willing, I know, to go out at any time of day or night for home visits, and would see anybody regardless of their ability to pay. So only when I began writing and publishing works, publishing papers, did I really think about how his stories had influenced my wishing to tell the stories of the children and young people I was seeing in my clinical work. And I also think he would be very proud that for nearly 40 years of my life, I worked for the National Health Service, not in the UK. And this is a service where medicine treatment is free to all, regardless of any ability to pay. So I think he would be very proud of that. Just finally, many, many people have mentioned this already, but it was only when I started teaching, supervising, was head of the clinical training for child psychotherapy in Scotland, that I realized how much the teachers had influenced my interests, my enthusiasm, my attitude towards learning, and what has become really lifelong learning. So I'm very grateful to Uniontown, to my teachers, to my colleagues, friends, for that. It was an honor to be in the same year group as Willie Bryant, who was also our class president, I think that wasn't mentioned previously. And I've been really impressed by the number of inductees who've contributed primarily to working with children and young people as well in many ways. So thank you very much.
From the class of 1967, Dr. Debbie Sangston Hindell. You know, Patrick, there's always going to be the best for last. Patrick Dougherty, graduating class of 1968. After graduation from high school, he earned an associate degree in advertising illustration from the Art Institute of Pittsburgh. This is where he gained experience of the luckiest day of his life, the day that he met his fellow student and future bride, Ellen. Upon graduation, he worked for JCPenney's company in Uniontown, doing advertisements, window displays, and signage for the store. It was also the time that he was drafted into the United States Army. He's had a varied career which employed both his fine arts and commercial art training. In 1991, he was asked to teach at Penn State Fayette, the Eberly campus. The campus needed an art history teacher. He was excited and grateful that the campus was there for him, so whenever it was time to return the favor, he did. He's been teaching there ever since. He has currently remained a self-employed artist, accepting a variety of commissions, portraits, art restoration, product logo design, and continued to teach. His recent focus has been historical recreations like George Washington portrait, but also includes large paintings inspired or copied from Jackson Pollock, Frank Klein, and one of his favorites, Mark Rothko. Being an artist has been challenging and fulfilling. He is also reminded of his parents' advice, the importance of making your life's work something you enjoy. From the class of 1968, please welcome Patrick Dougherty.
Is it good evening or good afternoon? I forget. Anyway, I love that picture of myself in high school. Explains why I have a beard. Those aren't even my glasses. I borrowed them from a friend for the picture. Big shout out to Just for Men. Anyway, I got up early yesterday and I called everybody and thanked them. So my presentation is going to be under 3 minutes. I'm always, when I think about high school, I look back at those days and 2 things I could take comfort with. And one is, this is a relatively recent scientific discovery, so it must be true, that our brains were fully developed until we were around 26. So I was very happy to hear that when I considered my high school years. And the other thing is that our memories really aren't that great. We invent old memories and we forget important memories. One memory I have is that I was required to memorize Chaucer's Old English. It's Canterbury Tales. This was like 54 years ago. I'm thinking, when can I ever use that? Well, this is it. Plus, it'll conclude my presentation. If you want to recite along, you want to. So here goes. When Varapila with his shore sutta, the drought of marsh perced to the rota, unbothered every vein in swish the core, of which for 2 engendered is the floor.
From the class of 1968, Mr. Patrick Dougherty. Folks, you deserve a big gold star right in the middle of your forehead. You lasted. Congratulations. With our closing remarks, I'll turn it over to Anthony Merkin. Thank you so much, and personally, congratulations to all the inductees. Look forward to seeing you in years to come. Thank you very much.
You've been waiting for, I'm sure. I want to apologize for how long it took, but we didn't want to slate the other class and stuff like that. And my congratulations for those that stayed out here and listened, okay? That's why I hate an intermission. They go out, they go out, you know. I want to first of all get applause for all the inductees up here. I want to thank our sponsors. And no matter what we asked, they always give. It was New Buyers with all the flowers and stuff down there. The cafeteria, what a job, 500 people in an hour. That's something, it really is something. On closing, I want to thank Aaron for doing this. Mark down here, and we have Courtney. She's not here right now. She's with the volleyball team. Believe me, I get a lot of accolades over this, and I do a lot of work. But without Mark and Courtney, this doesn't happen. Doesn't happen at all. I'm no technical person, okay? I want to thank you for coming, and all the sponsors and stuff like that. And give yourself a round of applause. Without people sitting out here buying the tickets, buying the ads, this doesn't happen, okay? It's the Red Raider Nation, you know, look great today, and I'm really, really proud of doing it there. You ready? Go ahead.
One, two, ready?
All right. Almost done. You get another one? Fight song? Say one more thing. In our book, we have a bunch of sponsors and stuff like that, and ads and stuff like that. When you need something, check the book to help us out. And we need nominations for our other Hall of Famers. USH.org. USHallOfFame.org is a nomination form there. Take time to fill something out and give us a hand, okay? Thank you, everybody. And Jess Ball is one of our. Have a great year, and I'll see you next year. Thank you.
Thank you.